What kind of energy do y'all get when you finish a show and they're just really into it? When you come off stage after the show, are you just beat up or are you just kind of like, wow, there is so much, I'm just so pumped right now?
Sometimes when we've had a really great show, the audience is engaged and really just a good energy. There's a part of me that kind of thinks, okay, this went so well, I just want to get out of here before things can go, before I can ruin it, you know?
Yeah. Before they come up and talk to me, like,
and realize,
you're gonna realize I'm a real dweeb.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not really as cool as you think I am.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Two Beers with the Band. I'm your host, Chris Schramm, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing the band Miss Lonely. They are a local band based here in the Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. All right, ladies, if y'all will introduce yourselves individually and tell me a little bit about what you do.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
We are very accommodating to one another. My name's Amy Littlegard-Wilson. I'm the violinist and backup vocal in the band.
My name's Emily Guthrie. I'm the drummer in the band and sometimes lawyer, drummer.
Lawyer, drummer.
Yeah.
Nice,
yeah.
I like it.
Me too.
I like
me
it.
too.
Makes things easy.
It does. It's convenient.
All right.
I'm Miss Lonely. I play guitar and sing.
Okay.
And writes amazing songs.
Yes. She is the songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
You are the songwriter, the sole songwriter for the band.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I like it. That kind of answers a few questions that I had as far as writing, and we may or may not get around to that, but since we've already established that, we'll just go with that. All right, and since we've got that out of the way, everybody knows who I am. I'm Chris. What'd y'all bring to sample this evening?
Chicken Scratch by Little Harpeth Brewery here in Nashville.
All right, this is an American Pilsner.
I love that sound.
It is a great sound.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
getting better at pouring beers, I
Yeah.
say as I almost spill it.
This is probably going to be like some good ASMR.
Yeah,
Right?
beer ASMR.
All right, and this beer is pretty chilly, so
Yeah.
that explains for
Yes.
those, if you can see this at home, this beer is golden color. It has fast rising bubbles. It's very clear, and it has a very slight foamy white head. I'm going to get a sniff. This beer, to me, has a very light floral scent and a very light Pilsner malt with very subtle sweetness.
Yeah.
What are
Yes.
y'all getting out of the beer?
Yeah, same here. Just it's a subtle sweetness, but it's very I think it's funny. It's not that it's a summer beer per se, but it reminds me of summer. I think it's one of my favorite.
Well,
Sitting
I mean,
outside, cold kind of.
It could be a summer beer.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all in the way you perceive.
I have that association, and then it's gluten free. It's made with
Corn.
cool. Yeah, made with corn. Thank
Made
you.
with
I could
corn,
not think
hence
of words.
the chicken.
Made
chicken
with
scratch.
love.
Made with love.
Made with
Made with
love
love.
and corn.
Love and chickens.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, what are you getting out of the beer?
I get kind of a muskiness as well. Kind of like I guess it does make me kind of think of like if you've been around a corn silo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It does kind of smell like that.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel that too. Different than like a wheat beer.
Yeah, definitely. All
It's a
right.
different kind of funk to it.
All right. Well, let's take a sip and see what we think. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oops. Cheers. Delightful.
It's been my favorite gluten-free beer since I found out that I can't tolerate gluten at all.
Oh.
I've tried a couple of others and was not super impressed with them. It's just like going through the motions of like, all right, I'm having a beer, but this tastes really weird.
Well,
But this one like really tastes like just like a light beer.
it does have a light, refreshing taste to it. It is I'm going to say a mild to medium body. Slightly creamy, but about what you want as far as like a Pilsner. You
Right.
don't want anything just, and it has a very light floral note to it.
There's a very, very in the background kind of an almost citrusy taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tangy.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has
A little
that
bit
kind of
tanginess.
slight kick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am getting that little bit of citrus, but what I do like about this beer is that it's very drinkable and it's
Yes.
not
Yeah.
overpowering.
Yeah.
Very smooth.
It hits about where, in my mind, where a Pilsner should be.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so that's
It doesn't feel like you're drinking something specially made for people who can't tolerate gluten.
Right.
Right.
It doesn't have that taste at all to it, and I think that's why I've really been drawn to it.
Yeah.
and it's a very popular beer here in
Yes.
Nashville.
Yeah.
They sell a lot of this.
I don't even remember the first time I tried it. I remember when they used to have the brewery and tap room that you could go in and
Yeah.
visit, which
Yeah.
I don't think, at least in that location, it's not there anymore. But I remember I did a tour there and drank it and didn't even, I can drink have gluten, you know, but I
Yeah.
just tried it and it was instantly one of my favorites.
Okay.
Chris, I have a question.
All right.
When you were describing it, you mentioned the rate in which the bubbles were rising.
Yes.
What does that have to do with the taste? Is it the carbonation?
It is the carbonation. As far as the taste, it really doesn't have a great deal to do with the taste. It just kind of a lot of people will rate a beer based on carbonation. I've had some beers that they did a good job as far as the base of the beer. IPA, a Pilsner, whatever they were, but it was way too carbonated. And it was one of those, even though the can had been sitting for a while, you pop that can, I mean, it starts coming out like you sat there and shook it. And when you pour it, you could no matter how lightly you poured it, it's just the head was just massive.
Some of those
and
beers,
it
yeah.
just, if a beer is too carbonated, even while you're drinking it, you're not going to get the full flavor of the beer because that carbonation just kind of dominates everything. So, I mean, I like it. The bubbles have slowed down quite a
Yeah.
bit, but this is a very approachable beer.
It is.
Yeah.
All right,
Not
so
offensive at all.
Yes.
now that we've talked about beer number one, what have y'all been up to recently?
Oh, we've had some excitement.
We just got back from a tour with the band Cat Wolf out of New Hampshire. We met up with them in North Carolina, and then it was about 2 weeks. We
Yeah.
went out on the road in the South. It was North Carolina.
We were in
Georgia.
Raleigh, Durham, Asheville, Atlanta,
Then it was Nashville, Memphis, Athens.
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga was the last one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds like fun. How many times have y'all been out on a tour like
I think
that?
that's the first one where we were like as a band and out that long.
Yeah, that was definitely the longest
Miss Lonely
time.
and I have done. We were in LA a year ago, February.
All three of us were in LA
But
for a
oh,
show.
for one show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I
like
went-
Emily had
yes.
pretty much just joined the band and flew out there.
Less than a month before.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But so I think this was the first like
And-
full band.
Last year we went to
Okay.
the East Coast too.
That's right. Yeah, we had a little
Yeah.
mini tour, like
New
5
Hampshire,
days,
Boston.
and that's where I
Brooklyn,
met Cat
New
Wolf.
York.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long have the three y'all been together?
A little over a year for all three of us.
Yeah. And you guys
Okay.
were a little bit longer. I came in.
Yeah.
Was it end
6
of
months
January?
longer.
Yeah, maybe 6
Yeah.
months. Yeah.
End of January last
How long
year.
have y'all been together as a band?
We've probably been, Miss Lonely and I have probably been together for almost 2 years. We met in the summer. I don't remember what date, like what month, but it was in the summertime.
2022.
Yeah, it was 2022.
And then Emily joined in 2023 around January.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was January.
Hard to believe.
Yeah.
Well, time flies when you're having fun,
I
right?
know.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
So how was the touring as a band?
It
How'd
was
that
a
go?
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had
It was
our own
fun.
vehicle, and Cat Wolf had their own vehicle, and so we found at the end we were like, we actually tour very well together, being in
Yeah.
a car and in Airbnbs and such. Like,
It's
we knew we
true.
got along anyway.
Yeah.
But
I
being
didn't
in
come
close
home.
quarters.
Yeah, I didn't come home thinking, get me away from them.
Yeah,
or
I didn't have
anything.
any of that.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of that of like, oh my God, I need to go be alone and away from everybody.
You find out really quickly how you do
Yeah.
on the together on the road.
Yeah, I found I like really missed them the next morning, like waking
Yeah.
up like, oh, it's so weird that they're not here.
And then yesterday I played a show with the other band I'm in, Taxiway, and they both came to the show, and I
like, yay,
I felt
we're
like,
together
I haven't seen you
again.
in so long. It's been 24 hours, but still.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool actually, because I've talked to a lot of bands that have been together for a while and maybe done 1 or 2 tours, and they enjoy the tour. They enjoy it while they're doing it, but they kind of enjoy more that it's over, that
Yeah.
they can kind of step back away from everybody. And I was talking to one guy, and he's like, it's not that I don't like my bandmates. I can just only tolerate them for so long. And,
Yeah.
he's a nice guy. The band seemed to work really well together. They watched out for each other. But, I guess for me, if I was stuck in a car with the same group of people and I was working with that same group of people and then hanging out with that same group of people, after a little while, it would kind of be like, I need to step back from this just a little bit.
Yeah.
But
It's easy to get to that point. I think I've found we're all good at giving each other space when
Yeah.
needed, but then also just enjoying
Yeah.
the.
You also interact with a lot of people at the venue. Whenever you get to a new venue, there's all these new people to meet and interact with. So
okay.
I find that more difficult too than I guess traveling with my crew, but
Yeah.
having to redo the introductions in a new town every night. Hey, and that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
most awkward part, but
Yeah.
it's rewarding. It's worthwhile.
I've been out on a couple of weekend runs with other artists and definitely did not feel like what we had. I definitely felt like I couldn't really relax and like I didn't really click with other people that were in the band and in the crew. Like I got along with everybody, but definitely didn't like the three of us. We comment all the time how like we just really get each other right away, and it's amazing that the three of us actually met.
Yeah.
And I haven't had that experience with any of the other artists that I've been out with. I was definitely ready to come home after like 3 days and like not really happy, like wondering how would I do if this was like even 3 more days.
Right.
Like I don't know if I could do it.
Well, do you think y'all having that cohesion that it makes you feel like you can go to the next level? And what I mean by that is say, you know what, we work well together, we play well together. Why don't we go ahead and make an album. Let's start moving in that direction. I mean, since y'all do have that cohesion, does it seem like that is something that would be easier than, say, getting together with 5 or 6 people that, they work well as a band, but they kind of feel like maybe they're a little bit better guitar player than, or maybe, there's a little sense of individuality, and everybody can sense it, but nobody wants to say it, and it does kind of slow the process down.
It does, and I mean, I can find myself becoming that person, but I think it's having your good people to reel you back in, to, it's, and I think that it's just fun to work on projects together, and like we're in the process of recording now.
We are
recording an album.
We are recording one,
Okay. Well, how far along are you?
Pretty far. Yeah. It's getting there.
It's just a few more sessions, and it'll be done, and we'll be able to talk about possible release dates and stuff. We haven't gone into the project with like, okay, it has to be done, and we want to release it at this date, and we want to release it that date. We've always gone in and like, let's do everything we can, and when it's ready, then we'll put it out.
Okay.
So it's much more relaxed, I feel like. And so then we get a better product.
We also don't have a label, so there's no one that
True.
is requiring us
No
to
one
have
is
anything
like,
out in a certain
You have to
time.
do this,
Well,
Hurry it in.
Yeah, it's
That-
us, DIY.
That's what I like about the bands that I interview. I like the fact that so far none of them have been on the label, and to me it makes it feel like the interview is, truthful. The band is saying exactly what they want, because there's no contractual, obligations that they have about what they can and can't say. And I did try to interview a band one time that did have a label, and I spent 2 weeks getting questions together. 3 or 4 days before the interview, I gave them a list of questions. I said, mark through the ones you don't want me to ask, and I'll ask the other ones, and go ahead and have an answer ready. And it was so regimented. I mean, it was just like almost like yes or no answers, and I was kind of like, I set y'all up for this, but you have nothing more to say than that. And at the end, they were kind of like, well, we're under contract and we have this and that. And I was kind of like, this isn't fun.
Yeah, that sounds kind of dreadful.
But, I like talking to people who no holds barred about the industry. You're going to say what you think because it doesn't matter. You're confident enough in your skills that even if you do rub somebody the wrong way, you're comfortable with what you do. And that's what I like about, this style of interview. So as far as the songs go, is it easy to write lyrics when you have them backing you and their abilities and what they can do? Does that make it easy for you to write?
Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's not. I write a lot, so it's easy to write, but it's not necessarily easy to write something that I like.
Okay. All right. Well, when you write, do the emotions that go into your writing, is that all you, or are you writing about maybe what someone told you they went through, or what's your style of writing?
The whole gamut. It could be about me, it could be about someone else, it could be about something I saw or read or a movie I watched. It could be about a piece of art.
Okay. All right. Well,
It could be about anything.
Well, me, I don't write, but I find that interesting that you can hear a story or even see a piece of art and actually get a whole song out of that. That to me is interesting because I am far from having that ability.
I bet if you tried, you could do it. If you just tried every day and wrote a little bit, it's just like a different part of your brain. But often I'll be writing about something and I don't even know what I'm writing about initially,
Okay, well,
which might sound confusing, but I'll be writing things down and be like, oh, this is about that. But I don't know that for a while. It's like a self-discovery process.
yeah. I've talked to people who have. I had a buddy who had a full catalog of unfinished songs, and he would, we would be at work, and I'd see him grab a scratch piece of paper and just start writing for a couple of 2, 3, 4 minutes, just constant writing, and then he stops, folds it up, and puts it in his pocket.
Yeah.
And I would ask him, I'm like, so what is that? He said, maybe one day it's going to be a song. I don't know. And he would leave it at that. And I was like, okay, apparently he doesn't want to talk about it. So, all right, well, let's move on from that.
And I think that it seems as if you're constantly working on certain songs too. And
Yeah, it
I
seems
think
like
yeah,
not any one song is ever finished.
right.
So like you rewrite and rewrite, and even ones we've already recorded, like we know she's going back and redoing things. So like that's what's really cool about the live shows that we do, is that once the album is out, there's not a guarantee that you're going to see the same version that's on our album eventually. I think that's really cool. I really like that aspect.
Yeah, and I feel like every show is a little bit. The songs are a little bit different. Some element of them.
Well, as a consumer, there are two things I want when I go see a band. If the band is good enough to play exactly the way it is on the album, I mean, all the instruments, all the lyrics, everything. I don't mind if they go through their entire set and it's exactly like hearing it on the album, because I enjoy watching the process of music be made. But if there's, for example, a 3-piece, but when the album's out, maybe there's 4 or 5 people, playing. If you can play the song the way it is on the album, but then you tweak it just a little bit, you kind of catch everybody off guard.
Yeah.
Well, then, as a consumer, my attention is solely on the stage. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I know this song, but where is this song going?
Yeah, you never
You
know
know.
exactly what's going to happen. It's
And I've sat and watched bands play, and I knew the song, and they made an adjustment to the song. So now they have everybody in the audience focus solely on them. Well, the drummer goes into a drum solo while everybody else is swapping out instruments or whatever. Now you got everybody's attention because everybody's like, okay, now the drummer's going off doing something. Let's watch the drummer and see if they're skilled enough to pull this off. And then they're doing their thing, and then they just ease right back into another song. Just no transition, just boom, no stop. And it just keeps going and going. And for me personally, that just brings my energy level up.
yeah.
Because it's like, okay, they're into it now, so now I'm going to get a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see where this goes.
The best show I ever saw was the White Stripes. It was in Columbus, Ohio, at the Ohio Theater. It was September 2005, and I still think it was, almost 2 decades ago, but I think about it constantly. Just that energy. It was completely, no set list. Didn't know what they were going to do, and everything was, I don't know, snippets of songs from the albums mixed in with covers, and they just would transition in from one song to the next. There's that energy. There's nothing like it.
So who would you say your, maybe not necessarily your favorite artist, but somebody maybe, I'm not, maybe idolize is not the right word, but somebody that you really just consume everything they put out. You're their biggest fan. Who would you?
The White Stripes.
Okay, well,
yeah.
all right,
Meg White's drumming style, I just adore.
Yeah.
all right.
You can really see it in her drumming too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Except you have these wonderful tweaks that are all Miss Emily.
Okay, what about you?
If anybody knows me, like everybody knows, like my favorite musician is Hosier. So I just the grand sounds that he can come up with, and then like the really simple folk tunes that he can have,
Yeah.
where it's just him and a guitar. It's just all really inspiring to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What about you? Who's your go-to?
I don't have favorites, but if I'm going to pick someone right now, Velvet Underground.
I knew
Okay.
it.
You knew it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a interesting group of artists, and I do enjoy music from all of them.
Who's your favorite?
Oh, wait, favorite artist?
Just, well, today, for the next 5 minutes.
Miss Lonely.
Good answer.
I mean, that's a given.
Of course.
Well, in all honesty, favorite artist, that would be difficult because I like all genres of music, and it kind of depends on what mood I'm in when you ask me.
Right.
You know, and I do like artists that fit in different genres at the same time. And, you know, it just, man, I mean, I don't think I could give you a number one.
It's
Because
hard.
that's just,
Yeah.
as soon as I say something, I'm just going to get a flood from somewhere back here. It's like, oh, well, what about all these people?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be like, oh, no. Well, that number one's actually my number 5. Oh, no. Well, now that number 5's my number 12. Tell you
Yeah.
what, let's not talk about this because I will just, and then, you know, 5 minutes after we're done talking about it, I'll be like, oh, no. This is my number 1. I'm sorry. And people are like, we've moved on.
I know the feeling well. You just need to get a favorite artist. Another top artist of mine is Sparks, which I feel like every album they kind of change genre a little bit. You never really know what you're going to get.
I think
It
that's
covers
a big
everything.
determining factor of if I will listen to an artist more than once. Is I like to see them stretch themselves and not be like, this is pretty much the same song, just in a different key, or this is
Yeah.
the same song with a different meter. I like completely different sounds. Like, it definitely resonates more with me when an artist can do that. Kind of like, I feel like I liken it to like actors and actresses. Like, when you have these leading actors, you realize they're just playing themselves over and over again.
Yeah.
Whereas like you have the character actor who, like, that's who I really gravitate towards. People who can like completely embody a completely different person with a different background and
Yes.
different experiences. Then I have a huge respect for their abilities and work ethic. And then the same thing with music. I don't know, maybe that's, we were talking on the tour, like, I feel like I like music, I feel like maybe I listen to it differently than these two do. Like, I do listen to a lot of different music, but it kind of just comes at me, and it's got to grab me, and there's not a lot that actually grabs me and grabs my attention. I'll be like, a ton of it is like, that's fine, that's cool, it's not offensive to me, but I wouldn't choose to listen to it again. But then when I do find an artist that I do want to listen to, I will listen to it every day.
Yeah.
Like, really intensely.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I've always assumed it's because I'm not the lyricist, I'm not the lead singer, I'm, you know, in the backup band part of it. I'm always searching to find what I can add to an existing song that just brings it to the next level, but it doesn't take anything away. So I've always figured that it was because of that. That's why, like, I can have, like, I have this one favorite artist, but and everybody else is like, they're fine, they're great.
Yeah. You feel strongly about the things that
Yeah,
are very
I
important.
feel super
to you.
strongly
Yeah.
about, like, one. And it usually, like, it goes in, like, I think out of my entire life, there's only been, like, two that I can say, like, I really love everything this person does. And that's it. Everybody else is like, that's great.
Well, speaking of, I guess, actors and, movies and equating that to music, I like to ask this question. I don't always ask it, but would y'all say that you're the same person off stage as you are on stage? And I know that sometimes that's a difficult question.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I have about 3 people that I am. I have, like, the non-musician. Then I have, I also teach. That's, like, my day job. I teach violin.
okay.
So I'm my teacher personality, which is, like, very patient and very, whimsical. And because I teach kids as young as 3 and stuff. And I'm also, like, very wise.
You are.
But and then I have the stage persona, and even within the stage persona, I play with a lot of different artists. Miss Lonely is my main jam, but then I'm also, like, for hire for other types of genres and things, and I seem to have a slightly different stage personality for each one of them, depending on if it's a more folk person, or if it's more of a rock person, or if it's like I'm backing a Christian artist or something like that, like.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of different subcategories there.
What about y'all? Are y'all?
I think I'm actually most myself on stage, oddly enough, and it's not the me that comes out in day-to-day life. Yeah,
I knew that was
But
real
it's
you.
So happy on
Oh,
stage.
so
I
happy.
think it's just I don't. It's funny. I feel like I started this from the mindset of being a performer, because when I started playing in bands, I didn't know how to play drums. I kind of learned as I went, but that was coming from being a extreme music fan for all of my life, and working more on the business end of it for a while, and just finally starting to drum, it just hit me. This is what I love to do. So yeah, it's almost as if my inner self comes out when I'm on stage, I think. And I get that more in performance situations, like in the studio and things. I get more anxious in the studio and recording and things, but if
Me
I'm
too.
yeah,
Me too.
yeah, on stage in a live setting, I feel just very
It's much more
myself.
free.
It is
for some
yeah.
reason.
What
Can I
about?
show the picture of you from Memphis?
Oh yeah.
I just want you
God.
to see happiness.
It's pure joy.
It is.
That was a fun show.
That was so
like-
fun.
She's the happiest, drummer.
Although
person.
I have never seen you lawyer,
That's true. I'm not.
so
I'm not as
I
happy
can't
there.
say that.
I mean,
you're
I'm
not like
I'm happy, but
striking
not
those
like
poses when you're like
yeah.
motion filed.
It's a different mode.
Different mode.
Yeah, I'd say that's happy. You
Yeah.
have the biggest smile
Yeah.
on your face.
It was
Yeah.
That was a great show too. The
Really
Memphis
was.
show was
The vibe
amazing.
was so good
yeah.
there.
The other bands were just
Thank you for
wonderful.
sharing.
Yeah, yeah. That was a wonderful, wonderful show.
Yeah.
What about you? Are you the same person on stage as off?
I don't think so. Yes and no. Like, if I am anxious, then I'm the same person. When moments of when I lose that, then I'm not myself, or the self that is day to day, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know who I am.
Well, I mean, do you feel like you have to perform when you're on stage, or do you kind of feel like I'm just gonna go and see where this takes me?
Oh,
You
there are
know,
no plans.
so it's just get up there and go. And if I guess the emotions hit right, it's just gonna show up in the vocals or in the way you move around, because I guess the reason I'm asking is because I've seen guys and gals that I know and have known for years, and I know who they are. We've palled around, run around for years, and they get on stage and they're somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, they are just look at me, I'm a performer, and they go up there and they just show out. But every time they step on stage, it's almost like, when they put that instrument on, that puts them somewhere else. And then when they take that instrument off, they come back to the person that I've been palling around with. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just, it's interesting to me how some people, and I asked one of them one time, and he said, this is what's expected of me. Every night, no matter how I feel, I have to get up there and look like I'm the life of the party. Even though I'm in the back, I'm not up front, I still have to look like the life of the party, because that's what the band is portraying.
Yeah.
Everybody has, I said, so basically you're going up doing a job. You're kind of being a actor.
Yeah.
And he said, well, yeah.
You have to act a little bit, I think, all the time, because you are always a little bit nervous.
I feel fueled by the nervousness. I feel like it makes me
It puts you at
more
another
active.
Your brain gets at like a higher functioning level when you have that little bit of pressure on
Oh
you.
no, that's higher functioning.
Yes, yes, Mom.
That's
That's
sad.
you. That's you. You're the little lump of coal, and that's the
very
pressure, and you become
sad
a
that that's
diamond.
high. Do I change, guys? I don't even know.
I don't feel like I've seen you. I've seen you become more comfortable
Yes.
on stage over the last year,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I don't feel like I see you change.
Maybe I'm always like this.
Well,
We like how you
You're
are.
always amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, she said that it looks like you are more comfortable now. How do you feel? I mean, is it kind of starting to feel like you're, I guess, finding your space? That, I guess if it shows for her that you're more comfortable, do you feel more comfortable?
Absolutely, compared to how it was like a year ago.
Okay. All
I don't
right.
know if I'm ever going to be completely comfortable anywhere, but I do feel more comfortable. I
Okay.
used to just have sheer panic. Absolute panic.
Do you think that affects your performance at all?
100%.
So being more comfortable is a little bit different performance than just feeling sheer panic. Okay. All right. Well, how about y'all? How do y'all feel being on stage? Is it the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, or is there always going to be a little bit of nervousness right before you go on?
I enjoy being on. I think I feel more comfortable on stage than I do in one-on-one personal interactions with people, because I'm at that point. I think I have the mindset, in a way, I'm up there to help fuel the band to sound the best that they can, and I'm doing something I enjoy, and ultimately, if the audience doesn't like it, they can get over it because the spotlight is on us. And I kind of enjoy that feeling in a way. It's almost freeing somewhat, because you're getting to present something to the world. And I find that easier sometimes than one-on-one or real life interactions with people.
All right.
I've been performing for a very long time. I started performing, I think, when I was 5 in the classical genre. I actually just like expanded outside of the classical genre like 2 years ago. So I'm still pretty new to playing on this type of stage compared to like a symphony hall.
Mm-hmm.
And I was definitely way more nervous like every time I had to play classically. And even to this day, if I have to do something like solo classically, it's incredibly nerve-wracking. Like I never got used to it, but like the moment I stepped on like a music venue stage, it felt like coming home. It felt so welcoming to me and really warm and inviting. And I remember, I think the first time I played with Mel, we played like, I think we played, was it an open mic?
We played an open mic.
We played an open mic, like 2 songs, and that was it. And 6 minutes total maybe, and I wasn't nervous going on there. I'm not usually nervous going on this type of stage. And came off of it. It was so exhilarating, more so than like any like big Mahler piece I'd done, or like the 2 times I won a concerto competition. Like it still was nothing compared to like what I felt after those 2 little songs. And I knew like I have made the right choice to like branch out. So now like I don't usually get nervous on stage unless I know one of my fiddle friends is in the audience. If one of my fiddle friends is on the audience, then I do get nervous. But other than that, it just feels like, all right, I'm home.
Mm-hmm.
I can be free, like what you said.
Yeah.
Like I'm free to do it. And especially with this group, when I play with a country artist or a Christian artist or Americana, like a singer-songwriter, like I do get a little more nervous with them. Not too badly, but like with us 3, not at all.
Okay.
Very comfortable with it.
Okay, so when you, from what I've gathered, the songs that you write, they free them to be who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's unique, to find a band that says, that writes their own music and says everybody can say, these songs. It's interesting how they both said that your songs make them feel more free and they can be who they actually are and who they want to be. I think that's unique to find the cohesion in that and even the freedom in that.
Yeah. It is like playing with other bands compared to this one. Like I know I'm free to like create.
They can play whatever they want. That's why the 3 of us, I write this, like the initial blueprint for the song, but they write their parts, and it's like a real creative process between all 3 of us.
Well, would you say that the songs y'all play are healing for each of you? Or would you say that the songs are maybe healing for someone out in the crowd? How do you feel about the music that you play deep inside? Do you feel like it opens you up? Do you feel like maybe it exposes you a little bit? Or do you say, you know what, these songs that I'm playing, this heals me, and I hope it heals you as well?
I think the writing process in general is healing. But I hope the songs would be healing for other people. Some of them, most of the messages, the connotation is pretty positive, even if there's a negative slant. I like magical realism. I like, to take like a monster and use it to paint a picture. But in the end, the message is never negative.
Right.
So I would hope that it would be healing or inspirational or make someone feel joy at some point.
Okay, well, you say the messages you get, would you say overall that, I guess, messages you get, the emails, the letters, however it comes to you, that it's someone saying, you know what, I really enjoyed that. And maybe somewhere in the context of that, they say, this is why I enjoyed it. You know, that this is the way it made me feel, or, you know, you showed me that I'm not the only one that feels this. And, you know, it's kind of again, I kind of circle back to this, I guess it's a healing process. I mean, do you get those messages from fans?
I think all of life is a healing process. I think all of us are healing every day and trying to understand more about ourselves.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that, to me, I think, as a consumer, you know, I really tend to lean towards bands that, when I say put out good music, they're actually able to get on a stage and reproduce what I'm hearing on the radio or on the album. You know, it's not some engineer, some producer in a back room putting stuff together, you know. And music to me is like beer. You know, either you're going to like it or you're not, or, you know, it's okay, but it's not great. I try to find, because I can't play, because I can't sing, because I can't write, maybe I don't particularly lean towards a certain genre of music. And there are a lot of bands out there that say, you know what, I'm not really in a genre. I just kind of play what I like. What do you think? You know, what genre would you put me in? I'm like, don't ask me that, because I'm not going to label your art. That's not my right. You know, I would not feel comfortable labeling your art, just like I wouldn't enjoy you saying, you know, something about what I'm doing. You know, don't get me wrong, I need constructive criticism. Constructive criticism, I definitely need that, you know, but again, what I'm doing as a process, and, you know, for me, getting to know different bands and different musicians and different genres, you know. And speaking of genre, what would y'all, I mean, again, I'm asking y'all to put yourself, what would you say your genre is? And I know you can actually blend genres.
Yeah.
Because
I'd like to address like the idea of genres. I feel like if you talk to any artist, they're all going to be like, I don't know what genre I am. I'm writing what I want to hear. I'm writing what I feel. I feel like pretty much every single one is going to say that. Genres are really just like marketing tools. Like the label is what will say, like, well, we have to market you as this so that you'll make us money. So I feel like labels are real like money makers. We do all have to like say what we are, and every single one of us, like even someone who maybe to you feels like, oh well, that's absolutely folk or that's absolutely country. I think they themselves would struggle, like, because they hear everything that they've heard that's led them to like shape their writing style. So it'd be really, really difficult to actually nail it down to one thing. And I feel like that should be the label. Like, we do what we enjoy, and what comes out is what it comes out in. But you can't do that and, you know, get on a Spotify playlist, or you can't do that and you know, satisfy the people who want to make money off of you.
yeah, well, you know, that was a really good answer. That really was. That I've heard that answer one other time, but it wasn't nearly that descriptive. And it was a very short answer. And I kind of gathered they didn't want to go any further with that.
It is a bit of a soapbox kind of point. It's like, okay, I'll get off my soapbox now and try to put ourselves into like cross genres, that
Well-
kind of thing. So
Well,
you can like alienate people, but I think that's the truth for every artist that I come across.
well, I only ask that because I've talked to other artists and they have blended like 4 or 5 different genres together, and it came out like that's exactly what in their mind this is what I am. Now, for certain consumers, they would be like, you can't do that. You can't be in those genres don't work together. Well, I kind of see it like this. The typical consumer that, like me, can't play, can't write, can't produce anything.
Just interject. I don't
I
think you're a
think you-
typical consumer.
I think you could if you wanted to too.
Well,
feel
well-
like everyone is creative. You're just not doing it. But if you wanted to, I bet you could.
Well, I say that. I say all that to say I'm not currently.
Currently, there we go.
Currently.
Yeah, because you never
I'm-
know what's going to happen.
I'm not currently a writer, a singer, a musician. I currently have no musical skills, but it for the typical consumer in my same position, they would say you can't blend those genres together because that's just not right. Well, you can't tell a brewer what they can put in this can and what they can call it. You can't tell a painter what they can put on that canvas and what they can call it. Now, you as a consumer can say this beer is an IPA, or this art is whatever you want to call it, but, well, the artist may call that something different. And it's their art, so it's what they put on the canvas. And y'all put out y'all style of music, so it's what you call it, not what a label calls it. And you're right, for a label to make money, they have to put you in a bucket. And there's a lot of artists out there, a lot of bands out there that I've talked to and would love to talk to more, that they're like, you know what, I'm doing it my way. This is my music. I'm putting out what feels right to me. Either you like it or you don't. Guess what? I don't really care, because when I walk off that stage, when I walk out of that recording studio, I gave it my all. And you either like it or you don't, but this is who I am.
Yeah.
And that's what I like as a consumer to, I've been in the studio. I've watched, the process from writing to all the way up to making music videos and things like that. And it's a industry that can eat you up if you're not
Yeah.
ready for it.
Absolutely. And I think that, especially on a smaller level, many levels really, it's so difficult to make a profit, get noticed by people, appeal to the most number of people. Playing music or doing anything creative, really, I've found that if you don't love it, it's really not worthwhile, because a lot of times you're not getting the, I suppose, monetary validation or validation of a large number of people. When it happens, it's great, but if you're if you're not doing it because it's just internally,
We don't
almost
do it
have
for the
to.
money.
Yeah.
Well, I think those that only do it for the money, they lose their, I'm not going to say their creative juices, or you can almost see it when you watch them either sing or play. It's kind of like, I'm having to do this, not I want to do this.
And it gets old quickly
and
for them.
It's a different energy. You get that, or at least for me, it's a different energy that I'm getting from that either individual instrumentalist or, whoever is on the stage. For me, it gives a weird energy, and it's kind of like, I'm going to have to change the way I think about, this person. Or if you get it from most of the band, it's like, I'm going to have to revisit this band a little bit later on. Let me kind of clear out what I'm getting right now. Because, and it puts me in a weird spot, and I can tell who, and I'm not saying that other people can't, but for me, I can tell who. I've been to all kinds of outdoor events, just like y'all have, where a band's playing, and there's maybe 2 people paying attention to them, and 100 people not looking their way at all. But you look at that band, it's like, man, they're up there killing it.
Yes.
They're absolutely putting on a show.
Those shows are
and
amazing
there's
too.
me and one other person watching, and they're performing for everybody. They're hardly even looking at me, but they're looking at everybody. They're putting it out there. They're going to make somebody pay attention to it.
Yes.
And that is the kind of show I like going to.
Me too.
That band's going to make you listen to them. Even if it's not your style of music, you're going to walk up and you're going to say, man, they're doing it. I'm going to have to see what's going on with it. And I've left those, events and gone on Spotify to find that artist, gone on YouTube, what kind of videos they got out there. And all of a sudden, next thing, 2 weeks later, I'm following them. And I'm like, okay, I'm on board with this. I'm going to have to research, see what they did before I found out about them, and I'm going to have to follow them, see where they go from here.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that. I've found some very interesting bands opening up for other artists that I really, really wanted to see. And when I left the show, I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about them opening up for the other artists, because I
think that's how I discovered Tyler Childers.
Right.
I was like, wow, he really outshone the person he was opening up for. Like, and it was just him and his guitar. Like, whoa, that was amazing.
And for me, I really enjoy that. I really, I'll go to a show and they'll say, this band's opening, and then this person's playing. And maybe I've never even heard of the people that are opening and been like, yeah, okay, whatever. And by the time I leave the show, I'm like, ooh, I've got to find out more about them. And I've come across bands like that and just become a super fan. And then the next time they come to town, even if it's playing a real small venue somewhere, it's like, I got to call in sick to work because I've got to go see them.
Yeah,
yes.
definitely see them in the small venues.
Oh yeah,
because they never go back.
Right.
No, I've seen some bands in small venues, and next time they come to town, it's $150 a ticket, and it's it's kind of like, yeah, it's $150, and I'm way back here. And when I paid, let's say next to nothing, I was right there in front. I could see every time they picked that guitar, I was right there. And now I'm way back here. It's just,
Not the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same show. It may even be a better show because you have so many more people, helping put on that show now. But at the same time, once you've seen a band up close, it's kind of hard to step back here
It is.
and watch
It really
for
is.
it. Even though I've done it,
Yeah.
but it's, I don't know. It's a little different for me. As far as like venues that y'all play, have y'all just played any, I'm not going to say monster venues, but venues you've been kind of like, wow, they can put a lot more people in here than I thought?
I don't think so.
Not yet.
Okay. Well,
yet.
I like the optimism.
It's coming.
I like the
We're
optimism.
getting there.
Yeah. We're doing the grassroots effort.
Right.
Okay, well, just guessing, and I know you can't say for sure, but what do you think the biggest group or the biggest audience you've played for? Just
LA maybe.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
50 people?
Yeah.
We're
50
going to
to
say
75.
50.
Yeah.
okay.
Because
Okay.
we're playing small venues.
Okay. Do you put on the same show for 50 people that you put
Yep.
on
We
for
put on the
5?
Yeah.
same show for 4 people.
Yes. For no one, really.
Yes.
I don't think we've had a no one show.
We haven't,
but-
no. But I think we've had some really small, like basically just the other bands on the bill kind of thing. And we put on the same
Yeah.
energy, same commitment.
Honestly, when you're playing just for the other bands on the bill, sometimes that's how you can meet some of the
Yeah.
greatest
Yeah.
musician friends.
Yeah. And playing in Nashville, you never know who that one person is, whether there's like 4 people or if there's 50. Like there could be one really influential person, and like that's all it takes. You just have to happen to play for the right person and get their attention, and then either they themselves are connected or they know someone and they pass you on. Like that's how it gets done. So you have to play like you don't know who's in the audience, who what bigwig could be in the audience that could connect you.
Yeah, and even if you're having a bad night, don't take it out on the audience.
No, it's not
because
their
you
fault.
They actually showed up and are supporting live music.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I've talked to people who don't see it that way. They don't see, off camera, they're kind of like, why would I go out there and absolutely kill myself for 5 people when I play in front of 50? I'll go out there and I'll, just put on a show because I have to go to work tomorrow. And I can't go out there and kill myself tonight and then go put in 8 or 9 hours tomorrow at work. And to me, I'm kind of like,
I think that person needs to do some self-reflection. Like, are you
Yeah.
sure you want to do this stuff?
Well, that's
Yeah.
kind of what I thought. Is
Yeah.
like, I understand you got to go out there and work doing something you may not want to do to pay the bills. I understand that. But if you're not giving yourself to your art, are you, who are you slighting in that? Are you, you're slighting yourself. It's not the audience that,
Yeah, and then at that
It's
point,
missing out.
why are you doing it if you're not enjoying it? Because it's
if you can't go out and play for a handful of people and still come away feeling more alive or excited, then why are you doing it? Because we don't do this for the money. There's not money in it.
We actually lose money doing
We
this.
lose money doing it. Yeah. So
I've also become our band accountant. though,
Yes.
so it's been
You think we're going to do better?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, but me being the accountant probably is better. I will
that
agree
makes
with
it easy having an accountant and a lawyer
yeah.
in the band.
One of those I'm trained in, the other not so much.
But,
More than I am.
But you're working on it, right?
yeah. But the law part, I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know I'm finished with that first
Okay.
beer, so why don't we jump into this second one?
Yeah, I'm excited to try this one. I don't think I've tried this one before.
I've never
neither.
had anything from this particular brewery. This is a New Planet, and this is a blonde. It is 4.8% ABV, and it is gluten-free. So,
CBD water.
all right, what are you drinking down there while we're doing a pour?
It's sparkling water with 25 milligrams of CBD. Wild. WYLD. Lemon flavored.
Nice,
There's no THC in
Yes,
that, right?
THC free.
nice.
I do CBD, but not THC.
I got you.
It's very carbonated and delightful.
I've had one. You've shared one with
Do
me
you want
before.
to
and
try?
It was delicious.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks refreshing.
Yeah.
Ooh, it does have a lemonade look to it, like
Yeah.
that.
Anyone
It's
else
great.
want a
I've
sip?
enjoyed it. I'm
That
good.
does look like
Ooh, I'll
straight
take a little
lemonade.
sip here. Thank you.
I remember.
Be careful if you're mixing these.
Oh wow, that is
Yeah.
does kind of have a sweet
yeah.
lemonade.
It's very different than like if you just get like, the LaCroix limoncello. Like
Yeah.
it's
Right.
definitely different.
No
Yeah.
sugars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
It has that. It has that kind of that little citrusy, like real lemon scent
Yes.
to it.
And it's not overly sweet at all. I mean, no sugar in it, but it's
Oh wow, that is refreshing. That is not near as sweet as I thought it was going to be.
right. I like that.
That is very very subtle, but it lets you know it's there. It's just not overpowering at all.
Nice.
A
I love how-
recommendation: if you can't sleep at night, just drink one of these.
Ooh.
Get relaxed.
I do have problems sleeping. There's no doubt about that, but that is delightful right
Yes.
there.
You
I
could
like
also
how-
try Rishi.
Is
Or the
that
Rishi hot chocolate.
Oh, that's good.
Sigmatic makes a Rishi hot chocolate. If you have that before bed,
yeah.
You got me into that. It's
Oh yeah, it's so nice.
Okay, well after
It's
we
nice to have after a show. You
Yeah.
got to try to like wind down to the bed.
yeah. Yeah, well, speaking of that, what kind of energy do y'all get, when you finish a show, for say 5 or 50 and they're just really into it? How when you come off stage after the show, are you just beat up, or are you just kind of like, wow, there is so much, I'm just so pumped right now, or does it kind of depend?
It kind of depends for me. I mean, I think it's sometimes when we've had a really great show, the audience is engaged and really just a good energy. At times, I make myself go and introduce myself to people and all, but there's a part of me that thinks, oh, yeah, and there's a part of me that kind of thinks, okay, this went so well, I just want to get out of here before I can ruin it,
Yeah. Before they come up and talk to me, I'm like,
and realize,
you're gonna realize I'm a real dweeb.
yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
nearly as cool as you think
Yes.
I am.
Well, I mean, the energy's got to be there. If the crowd's giving it back, you really. I've gone to shows where the crowd is just super engaged, and I mean,
Those are the easy nights.
Yes.
Those are really easy. When they're not really engaged, I'm really happy with my bandmates. Like, if we're not getting it from them, we definitely give it to each other.
Yes.
I've noticed that if they're not really engaged, then we seem to be even more engaged with one another. A lot more of like turning to one another and like interacting physically, like getting into each other's space. Like, we make a lot more eye contact. We like make each other laugh more on stage. So like we end up getting it, just not always from the audience.
Right.
But we always, at least I always get it
Yeah.
from somewhere.
Me too.
Well, I know for me, again, as a consumer, I've left a show and gone home and just been wiped out. But the energy from the crowd, I went, you go take a shower, you try to wind down, you go to bed. For me, I've laid there 2-3 hours, and it's just like,
Yeah.
why can I not shut this off? I've got to get up, roll over, and that stupid clock is just, every time I look at it,
Yes.
it's brighter and brighter and brighter. And it's like,
it's cortisol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I think for me, it's like, if I feel this way as a consumer, how does that band feel?
They might
Being
feel
the
exhausted.
focus of all of that energy. It's just, how are they going to sleep?
I feel like you, I think, all the time. Even if we have not played a show, often I feel like that at night.
All right.
I have really bad insomnia. There's something in me that wakes up around 3 a.m. sometimes.
And do you ever wake up and just write?
Yes.
And do you feel like maybe that's your creative time early in just super early in the morning?
I feel like it's the universe's creative time. I feel like ideas come from like an energy field that is around us, and I just feel like maybe I'm accessing them at weird hours. But I wake up anyway, probably. Like I just am a bad sleeper, so.
Yeah.
But I write all the time.
Okay, so you wouldn't necessarily say, okay, from 10 a.m. to 12, that's my most creative time, or
I do like writing when I first get up, but I don't think there's a most creative time.
so if let's say you sign with the label, okay?
We're going to
And-
fantasize now.
Well, no, it's you sign with the label and they say, okay, you're the writer for the band, so as part of your contract, we want you to come in for X number of hours a week and write with 2 or 3 other people that we're going to pair you with. Do you feel like?
Not those two?
Well, I mean, would you feel like them saying, okay, you need to be here Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. and we're going to start writing at 11 and we have you till 2? Do you kind of feel like, wait a minute, you're putting me in a box? Or would you say, you know what, I can do that?
Chris, I wouldn't even let you shut the door.
There's your answer.
Okay. Well, I was just curious because a lot of people that I know that are strictly writers, that they say, "Oh, I can be creative whenever. It doesn't matter. If you're going to pay me to be creative from 11 to 2, I'll go in there and I'll produce from 11 to 2." And I'm thinking, okay, at 2:30 or 2:10, did you just turn it off? I mean, what is it, a light switch?
I don't think it comes from me or any one necessarily, like not any one particular person. That's just my opinion. I feel like it is an energy that is around us, and we are lucky to get ideas from that big energy field.
Oh, okay, so it's just
It's like channeling. I don't think it's...
you're just creative, period.
I think anyone is creative. I think we all have the ability, and I think we're all born with the ability to be creative. And then society, families, different situations sort of teach us to like follow rules and do this and do that, and we lose that creativity. But I think I think everyone is equally creative, and I think it's a shame that so many people don't think they're creative. And it's like you can live that way. It's what you do. It's like it's how you cook, or how you decorate, or anything you do. When you're shopping, when you're like designing like your screen on your phone to put the little apps in a certain way, like everything you do can be creative.
Okay, all right.
Creativity feels like a muscle at times because it's a matter of, because I know for myself there was so long I was telling myself, oh no, I love music or art, but I don't do it myself, and almost switched that off. But then when I started to just do it and keep doing it, even though I didn't feel like I was great at it, but then kept getting better, it's just, and then I've noticed it in more aspects of my life where it comes out just from exercising it, I guess.
How you dress, the words you use, it could be anything. Beer is creative. You're creative with beer.
Yeah.
Well, see, I was fixing to tell you I'm not, but I feel you were going to prove me wrong as soon as I said that. So
That's true.
I'll say, okay.
And with this whole podcast, you're creative.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is art, like anything else.
Well,
It's something you do your own way.
this is true, and it's a labor of love. And well, you know what? I'm not even going to say it's a labor, because that's putting a label on it as a job. I enjoy this. Maybe I'm not as good right now as I'm going to be in the future. There's a lot of technical aspects I'm still learning, but I guess the creative aspect of it does seem to come easily for me. Now, as we discussed before I press record, I'm still nervous. I'm nervous. I was nervous all day, knowing that I was going to sit down and talk to 3 people I've never met before, and how's this going to go? It's just, it's all day. And then it seems like as soon as I hit that record button, everything just kind of falls into place. Yeah. And, I've enjoyed talking to y'all so much, and I've learned a lot, about each of you and about, your art and how y'all became, a group and how it's worked out so well. It seems like, and I think that cohesion probably makes your creativeness open up a little bit more because you feel free to express yourself a little bit more because you're not being tied down by
We're not
a
constrained.
label or a genre or a certain contract that says, well, you can have this much freedom, but we're going to put these walls up and we don't really want you to color outside the lines, and they're allowing you a certain level of creativity, and then, once you've hit that, you might burn out.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, it was fun, but it's not fun anymore.
We're having a great time DIYing it right now, but that doesn't mean that we wouldn't like the support of a label. It would have to be the right label. And thankfully we have a lawyer in our corner to look through absolutely every bit of it.
I'll
and
redline
then
the hell
could
out of any
see
document
our songwriter is not going to show up between 11 and 2.
Yes, I advise you not to
There's
do
not going
that.
to be co-writes.
She's not even
It's-
going to be awake.
Yeah. There's no co-writes.
Right.
Nope, not going to be any of that kind of stuff. Not a solo artist and their backup band. Like the band is one unit. We would have each other's backs on that kind of thing. And we believe that there is a label out there that would like to do that because we would like to be able to, share everything even more so. Because I think, back to a question you were asking earlier, I think people do connect with not just the sound of our music. I think is probably what gets people engaged with us initially, because we don't really sound like anything that's out there, especially in Nashville. We very much stick out. And then I think people, when they do listen to the lyrics, Miss Lonely's lyrics are what do you call it, fantasy, what is it,
Magical realism.
realism. So you do have to put your thinking cap on a little bit, and it doesn't take much though. You can listen to it and oh my God, this song is so deep. Mm-hmm. This song is incredibly deep. And the people that do that, they definitely feel okay, here's someone who knows what it's like to be an outsider, who knows what it's like to be putting this on. I'm going to try to fit in, but I'm also going to I'm super unique and artistic, and not everybody sees these regular things in life the same way that I see them. Mm-hmm. So we would love to be able to get into something where that could be shared with more people than just the people that, come to the shows that...
That was kind of you, Amy. Thank you. I don't even know that.
It's true.
She understands the songs
that would
way
be
better
great.
than I do.
Yeah. And I think that I think it's a matter of work finding and working with people who are in things for... You're aligned in why you're doing certain things, because on the business end of things, I enjoy the business side of things sometimes and realize certain things you have to do to make things feasibly work, financially, schedule wise, whatever, but also working with people who understand why you're doing what you do. And I think people who just love music and art, because not everyone involved in the business side has that, and I think you can tell very quickly that
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah. I've met people in the industry that, you know, their part of the industry is pure business, pure business, and they have no interaction with the artists. They may or may not even listen to the song that they're in some office or on some phone call dealing with, you know, and the business end of music, I'm not going to say is a necessary evil, because some people may say that it is evil, but business is business. You know, it is what it is. Some people love it, some people don't.
Yeah.
And creatives may not necessarily like the business aspect, but there are people that do, and those people need each other to make things work financially.
Yeah, I think that's
You know.
it's so important, and especially when you to have people who, for whatever reason, enjoy the business end of it and also love the art that comes out of it. It's almost being able to facilitate letting that art happen and get more people, get it exposed to more people. I think. I know for me, starting out, I was working more in live events before I played music, and that was really why I got into it. I had gone to so many shows and concerts where it just left me with such an amazing feeling, like this is what life is about, just this energy and how it made me and the rest of the audience feel, and thinking, okay, I want to be a part of making this happen for other people and allowing it to happen. And yeah, it's so I think that those two areas can really complement each other, but it becomes painfully obvious very quickly when they're kind of divorced from each other and one person only thinks about one side or only thinks about the other side. Honestly, too, I think to a degree it bothers me if I go to a show and you can tell the audience or the artists just have no consideration for the crowd, you know? Like, say, for example, I've played it in my other band. We've played it, you know, some breweries and places where you see people sitting there that are catching up. It's probably friends that haven't seen each other in months and they're trying to talk.
Yeah.
I know they didn't come there to see me necessarily, so I'm not going to get offended. Oh, they're not listening to the music, but it's like, okay, they want background music. I'm going to do what I do, but also realize it's not necessarily all about me, and that's okay. I'm doing my thing for other reasons.
Well, I've known some people also not to, and I know maybe it sounds like I'm talking bad about, I guess, the business side of it, and
You can do that.
well,
There's some very bad parts of it.
you know, there's bad people in every business.
Yeah.
You know,
Amen.
but I do also know people in the music business that the business part that they truly want to help the artist, and they, you know, I knew a young lady who got a music law degree, and her passion was I want to make sure the people I represent get the best representation.
Yes.
You know, I want to be able to sit down and write contracts or review contracts that this artist knows exactly what they are signing and they are happy with it.
Yes.
You know, and I want to be able to negotiate on their behalf and say, you know what, hey, there's this little thing over here. They're not gonna work with that. So we're on board with the rest of it. We just got to remove this. How do y'all feel about that? You know, it's like, no, it's got to be this way. Wow, I'm sorry, my artist is not. You know, this isn't going to make them happy initially when the money comes in and the glitz and the glamour, but long term,
Yeah.
this isn't going to work. So
Yeah.
either you bend a little and we bend a little, or and she stayed up late at night working on stuff too. I mean, she was back and forth, phone, text, email, just killing it, trying to make and it was kind of, you could see that it would exhaust her.
Yeah.
But once a contract was signed, she was just on a natural high for days, because two people are happy. The
Yes.
creatives are happy, and now they're going to be supported, like you said, and be able to move forward and reach more people. And the business people are happy because they now have this creative that they can support and they can put out there, and they can make their money and continue, and you could just, she really just was, I mean, when the last time I talked to her, and it's been a couple of years, she loved it. She said, it wears me out, but I love it. It's kind of like a run for me. You don't want to run. You hate running, but as soon as you're done running, you're like, man, I'm glad I did that. I feel so much better. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool.
That's a good description. It's like a runner's high, contract high.
Contract. I like that. Contract high.
Yeah, and so much of it comes down to the intentions of the people you're working with, and it can be hard to see it for it's kind of like the creative muscle, just to building up the instincts and surrounding yourself with good people to know who's serious in the way that you need them to be.
Well, speaking of contracts and things of that nature, what do you, as a group, as a band, what would be the top of the mountain for y'all, individually, what would be the top of the mountain for the band, for you personally? What do you see as...
I don't think there's ever a top of the mountain. I feel like it's like yoga almost. Like you practice a pose, but you never necessarily get to the fullest expression. You just keep practicing. I don't see that there's a top of a mountain.
Okay, so for you, it's
keep working.
Okay,
you just make stuff.
I like that. Okay, yeah, that's a very creative point of view.
I think in life, there's just so much growth. You're constantly growing. If you reach the top of the mountain, you're dead.
Oh, well, I've never looked at it like that. So, man, that's kind of a tough act to follow.
I know.
I'll follow it though. They know I'm not afraid.
She's got a different mountaintop than I do.
No, I recognize what you're talking about, and I think that's absolutely true. I've been studying music since I was 3. I have no memory of not being able to play the violin, of not having that as an extension of my own body. It's my voice. It's so many things to me. So absolutely, I'll tell my students even, I'm still working on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I will never be done with any particular piece that I've studied or performed or anything. I'll never be done with that. I'll continue to grow, and we as a band will continue to grow no matter what. If we don't, then we know something's really wrong.
We died at the top of the mountain. That's what happened.
Well, I don't even think to me, I feel oxygen. The analogy
we should have brought water.
I feel for me, the analogy of top of the mountain is along with how will you know you've made it or you're a success or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So I think we're already a huge success. Everything we do is giant. So many bands don't even go as far as we have, with the motivation we have and the drive. We have the raw talent, we have the motivation, we have the work skills, the work ethic to be able to put in that long haul. But then I feel there is also
the basic life mountaintop, which is like being able to support yourself by solely performing music. Like, I would love for that for us to be able to pay for our lives with just performing Miss Lonely and not have to have day jobs.
Right.
Like, to me, like, I don't know if it's a separate mountain or if it is the mountain. Like, the growing musically and creatively, I guess I don't feel like that is a mountain. That's just like your path. That's just where you are. That's just every day. You can't help but do it. If you've decided to like make music like a career kind of thing for you. But like the mountain, like the hard trudge, to me that's like, how do I turn this into money that will pay for the band but also pay for our individual lives? That feels like a slog. And that feels like it's impossible.
Yeah.
So I tend to like, that would be great, but I choose to not do that mountain.
Yeah.
Right.
It would be great if I found myself at the top of it, but that's not my point. Like, I'm not going to do it that way.
Yeah.
So I think that's how I feel, like two minds about it kind of thing.
I like
Okay.
that. Yeah.
All right.
I think for me it's interesting. I was just talking to you all about this. I know that when I started playing music, I had certain ideas in my head of, oh, if I do this, then I'll feel like a big deal. And a few years in, I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of those things. Just, hearing a song I played on the radio, getting to say we're on tour, playing with certain bands that tour kind of regionally that are a big deal to me. And I've realized the more we do it that those things don't make you a big deal. Everyone's just creating their art and doing their best. So it's been something I've been kind of trying to think on a lot lately, realizing a lot of my, I guess, preconceived notions of what success would look like. Once I hit them, I realize, oh, I'm just me. I'm just a local musician doing my thing with very more talented people.
Yeah.
What would you say then? Would you say that you are a success?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that I think that more people are a success than would say it too. Even
we
just
tend
on
to like put like, oh, success is on the pedestal, and success means that we're able to support ourselves financially. We're famous. People recognize us. Like we have a label. We go on world tour. Like I think people fall into that pitfall.
Yeah,
like, that's what success is. But when you do the self-reflection, you realize, like, no, that isn't what success is.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm actually already there.
Yeah.
I've already done the work, and now I just live it.
And there's so many on a local level musicians who we're playing shows with, or they're playing the same venues as us, and when I see them sometimes I get excited, like, oh, it's this musician I think so highly of, and I realize we're doing similar things, but I think they're
playing the same
huge
venues.
deal.
There's
And
so
it hits
many
me.
incredible artists.
Yeah, and they have,
especially in this city. It's
yeah,
the city.
unbelievable.
and just having the gumption to get up there and do it when it can be a slog at times, loading the gear in, trying to book the venues, dealing with difficult personalities and things, but to be able to just push through and do it, I find that so impressive. And there's so many talented people here. But short answer, I want to play the Ryman.
Yeah.
I was a tour guide there right out of college.
I didn't
for a
see it
while,
going
and-
there.
Yeah. So I've given tours. I used to do backstage tours at the Ryman, but I've worked there some. But yeah, I want to play the Ryman.
I'm having deja
Yeah.
vu.
I've probably said this before.
Yeah, I think both you and I have like the Ryman on a pedestal.
Yeah,
and I have often
it
thought
is.
like, oh, I'll know I've made it.
Me too.
Once I play in the Ryman. No. I've already made it.
Yeah,
I've already made it.
Yeah, and I can. Yeah, that's my truly being honest with myself answer, I guess.
It would be so cool.
Yeah.
It would be so cool.
Well, for me, I think, even though, well, for me personally, I don't think a lot of people are going to listen to this podcast. One, because it's new and I don't have, a fan base yet.
We'll tell
But-
them to listen to it.
Yeah.
you know, and it's still, you can see where I'm at and what I'm having to deal with in here, and I'm doing my best, but
Well,
Very
a lot of
creatively.
successful,
Yeah.
a lot of
It's
successful
cool.
podcasts. Like I think if you were to see where they were recording and such, like it's all smoke and mirrors.
I like
But,
the names on the wall. I think
I
that's
know,
a great idea.
that's cool.
But I think for me, success would be when I hit this stop button on this recorder and the four of us get up and we leave this room and we're all happy.
Yeah.
We're all,
yeah.
you know, I learned something about you guys. Maybe y'all learned something about me, and I learned something different about music, you know,
Yeah.
and about individual artists like y'all, and then collectively y'all as a band. You know, for me, success is, even if I don't get a lot of views or a lot of listens, whatever, I mean, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Just like having 100 people out there for y'all,
Yeah.
1,000 people out there for y'all. You know,
I think one
I
of the
feel, I feel successful if this works.
Yeah.
You know, and if I can go home tonight, lay my head down, and say, you know what, I did the best I could.
Mm-hmm.
Either you like it or you didn't,
Yeah.
but I liked it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's success for me, and not hitting the table
Yeah.
when I move my hand up like that. So.
I think that attitude is so conducive to actual creativity and actually getting great
Yeah.
results with things. I think that's just that's the best kind of attitude to have about anything. It's yeah.
And before I interrupted, what were you about to say?
You'll think of it at 3 a.m.
Yeah. And then you'll write an amazing song about it.
Yes.
called I Don't Know.
I like it. I'm part of a song. And I don't even know it yet. That's awesome.
I like this beer too, by the way.
Oh, we didn't talk about
Yeah, it's a
beer.
little.
I was
Planet.
thinking about that, but I don't
Cool.
have beer, so I was like, maybe.
Well, we did
We
try
did talk
your,
about-
yeah, we talked
yeah.
about
you talked
yours.
about this,
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like this took over.
Well, you know
alright.
what? I was very impressed with that.
Yeah.
I would have never tried that.
Yeah. And
Until
so
tonight.
many venues are offering things like this now because so many people, for whatever reason, are choosing to, not drink when they go out. They're not going out to get hammered and stuff like that. So it's also like more pressure on us because we know like a lot of the people might not be listening to us through like alcohol fueled ears. Instead, they're like completely present and listening.
Well,
Mildly terrifying.
Like, oh no.
well, I think for a venue to survive in, especially a small venue, a independently owned venue, they're going to have to cater to a wider fan base,
Yeah.
and they're going to have
And they
to
charge as much for these things as they do for a alcoholic beverage anyway.
Well, they and
A
one,
mocktail is the same amount as a cocktail.
Yeah.
and one thing that I'm very super supportive of, probably more than anything else, is independently owned venues.
Yes.
That to me is becoming a lost art, and I think those venues they're smaller, as y'all know, and they're more engaging with the artist and the people who come to see them. It's the smaller venue, and it's not big production. It feels more friendly, more social.
Mm-hmm.
And when I pay big money to go to these huge outdoor shows, I can already, when I walk in, kind of feel the way this is going to feel just like the other show that I went to. But I'm going to enjoy the music.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I'm going to get the same vibe that I got from the other show, because there's so many people here. and it's
Yeah.
big lights and big sound, and it's just booming, and everything's big, big, big.
Yeah.
You know, and when you go to these small venues, you see a little bit nicer menu when it comes to food, and you see, oh, they have a decent beer selection, they have a decent wine list, which that's kind of unusual, and then
Yeah.
they have all these cocktails over here. It's like, well, okay, well, what do we got? All right, this is a little something for everybody.
Yes.
In my mind, that means the musicians up on stage, it's going to be a little something for everybody.
Yeah, and I love that. And it's like on our last tour, even some of the local venues we went to in different cities, it was a different feel each city, and there were some
That was
cool
really cool.
places. Yeah.
I would say some of them didn't have better drinks or food.
Yeah.
There's also like you know
Some
your
of them
classic
cater to one type of
dive bar
clientele,
that you
yeah.
know,
yeah.
is dying out, I think. But
Yeah.
it was, you know, for a long time, those little divey bars made like they curated scenes of artists like in certain regions of the country, and they really grew them. So that's kind of dying out, I think.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. And that's not only here in Nashville, but that is nationwide, because I don't know, it to me it seems like, again, I'm not pounding the music industry, but it just seems like they want to be in absolute control.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
And-
wrong to pound the music industry.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not
Just putting it out there.
I'm not saying that I'm for the music industry. I am to a degree.
Yeah.
But there are things that are happening that I disagree with, and on just a level you would understand, but maybe a lot of people wouldn't, because
Yeah.
when you
Say most people don't understand what's really going on.
Yeah.
when these big businesses come in and buy these little, small venues that have been owned by the same owner for 30, 40 plus years, and the number of people who came through when they were very small bands and now they're just superstars, and where's an artist that moves to Nashville that has no connection, but they can sing, they can write, they can play, they have a passion. They move to this city to pursue their art. Where are they going to go to get started? Because you can't. How many people move to Nashville and within 10 minutes have, they've signed a label? There's
Buddy.
exactly, and for the person who has only played for their parents and their friends, or maybe high school party, and everybody's like, you need to pursue this, and they feel so passionately about it, and they move to Nashville. They're like, you know what, I am gonna make it. Well, they got to play these dive bars, these small venues. They got to get their foot in the door. They can't afford to go in there and say, you know what, I'm going to pay this to play here tonight. They're out there working that full-time job. They're barely affording their bills, and they're doing it all on their own. These small venues are what supports them. It's not like in the movies where, I was playing on the corner of 3rd and Broad and such saw me, and an hour and a half into the movie, man, I'm on stage at the Ryman, and I'm sold out for 4 nights straight, and it's a Hallmark happy ending.
If only.
That just,
Yeah. Well, the people
know.
who make those movies know what sells.
right. It just, when the small venues the independent venues get crushed or bought out, it takes there's a feeling, and I know y'all know what I'm saying. There's a feeling in that venue, and it sucks the air out, and it changes the level of art that is displayed in the venue. and it just it changes everything, at least for me.
Yeah.
I think more people now are branching out and playing house shows to fill in the void with some of the smaller venues closing.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be more popular, I think, than it used to be.
Yeah. That's like also one of the only ways that an independent artist like us that DIY can support themselves through music, through performing music, is the house show circuit.
Okay. Well, I don't know much about that, but apparently we're going to have to talk here in a little while so I can find out more about
Yeah,
that.
and I think a lot of consumers, like, they're getting tired of, being bilked with fees and Ticketmaster and all that kind of stuff. They have these artists that they love, but once they get signed, then all of a sudden, like, there's not only the paywall, but, like, they're so far removed from the artists that they had helped, like, build up. But the house show helps both. It helps the independent musician to be able to get 80% of each ticket price.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, that house show isn't going to start to ask for cuts of the merch, which a lot of venues are asking for cuts of your merch sales now. And then also, then the consumer gets a chance to have a small, intimate atmosphere with this artist that really resonates with them.
Yeah.
And then they have the access to be able to stay and chat with them afterwards. Like, a lot of them will have like a reception afterwards, so there's also food.
Yeah.
And then the person who has decided to put their house up for this house show circuit, then, like, they can seek the artists that they really love, because not only do they get to have them in their house, but then a lot of times they also put the musicians up in their house that night before they leave for the next one, so they get this really enormous access to the artist that, like, has inspired them so much and has touched them and helped them grow in their own life. So, like, it is like the new thing to help, like, pretty much everybody involved in it, the artist, the consumer, and then the host.
Well, for the listener out there, including me that doesn't know anything about this, how would we go about finding out, about the whole circuit, about the whole concept? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily just one band or one artist, but, let's say it's the new thing. How would someone go about finding out information on that?
I feel like a lot of it ends up being word of mouth, and not to get too lawyery, but some of it has to do with venue regulations and keeping it quiet. Others do more to make it more compliant with those. Yeah. But even just in different cities, the local show if there's weekly show calendars, a lot of times they'll highlight them. Or
and if you have an artist that you really love, staying up to date on their upcoming shows list, like, it'll say house show, and then they don't put the name of the house or the address. Like, you have to, like, really follow that artist closely, and then they'll promote it on their Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, and it'll always be DM me for an address. Mm-hmm. Oh. So you have to, like, get that.
Okay.
So you might have to, like, go to a local show and then, like, chat up the musicians.
Yeah.
Like a scavenger hunt.
Doing any house shows?
Well,
yeah.
I guess a scavenger hunt would make it more, if I had to put in work for it, I think I would enjoy it a lot.
But it's such an intimate atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really cool. They're fun to play, and then I've played in some, and then I've gone to some, and they're all, like, really cool atmospheres.
Is it Side Door to the site is it called Side Door?
Yeah, I don't know if that's for the consumer, if they have, like, do they have
It's
a
both.
calendar that you can go and look and, like, put in, like, the zip code of where you are, and they'll show you the local house shows that are on that circuit?
I'm not sure about that, but you can either be a host or a band. So if you want to host bands, you can go there and sign up. Say, I live here, I want bands to play in my house. Mm-hmm. Or if you're a band, you just go there, say, I want to play in this city.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sidedoor.com.
Mm.
Yeah.
Sidedoor.com. All right.
And there are several house show venues in and around Nashville.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tons.
Ever changing.
Yeah.
I can imagine, and I bet that would be very, man, my mind just, some of the places I've seen, if bands played there, I mean, these homes,
Yeah.
they're just set up for it. And it's like, I could see a small stage over here, and there's enough room in this one room. It's like a small venue
Yep.
in this
Yeah.
house,
Yeah.
and it's just,
One
wow.
of my neighbors does house shows.
We should play.
We should play.
That would be interesting. I wonder if there is a way that could be supported by a fan base.
It's completely supported by fan bases already.
I mean, for like the, I guess the house, the person who is putting up.
Yeah, they
you
take
know,
a cut. Like, so you say you want to price the ticket at $20, then like as the artist, you end up getting like 15 of that, and then the host gets the other 5. So if you sell 20 tickets, 30 tickets, and then they can sell stuff there too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So.
I don't know if the alcohol sales are legal.
I don't
but
know
they
if they
can
do
sell
Most
that
of the
or
time,
not.
yeah, usually it's
Probably not.
BYOB.
But like they'll be,
Yeah.
it'll be for alcohol. It is, but like they might, like
food.
food, yeah.
Oh, I didn't
But most of
even
them that I
think
go
about
to, most of them that I've been to, everything is like BYOB.
Yeah.
And then if there is food out there, like they don't charge.
It's like people can give donations to help out if
Yes.
they want
Yeah,
to.
yeah. Because like everybody knows, a little bit of the ticket sale goes to the host, but there is definitely like donations for the host.
So, what are y'all's thoughts on that style of entertainment? I mean, what do y'all as a DIY band? What do you think of that concept?
I like
Yeah,
it.
I like it.
I like it.
I think every
Because we're
house
getting
show we've played, the audience has been very engaged.
Very engaged, yeah. Like
They are going there just to see
Yeah.
music. There's
Yeah.
no like people go to venues to see music, but you're going to a bar, you have like different things you're trying to do. But the house show, it seems like they are going to see
Yeah.
bands.
yeah. And like just the vibe there is so genuine, and I feel like everybody is just sick of the music industry right now. And this is a way to kind of flip the finger at them. It's like under the radar. You know, they're just, every artist works so hard for their art, and then the music industry just wants to take, like, even these small venues that you've been talking about, like, they're turning over, like, they have to make a profit too, so now they're, you know, now they have production fees, which, like, the sound person should get paid, absolutely. But I feel like that should be in a different part of the business model than like, all right, you drum up all the business to come to the show, and then we're going to take the first $150 of the door and keep that for a production fee, and then you get 80% of on top of that ticket sales, which is like, and especially in Nashville, in such a saturated market, it's really hard. Like you barely break over that like production fee. So they're charging you to play, and it just is infuriating to me.
No, go ahead.
What I think is confusing is that I think years ago, booking agents would curate the whole show. They would book a show for the night, and they would ask, 3 or 4 bands. They would put 3 or 4 local bands or 3 local bands and a touring band together, and they would make the night. But now it seems like booking agent will find one artist and be like, you find all the bands for this night.
Yeah.
You do my work.
Yeah, it's almost like, okay, I can, and then you are all essentially responsible for all the bands you find, that they show up, that you tell them all the information. It's almost like the booking agent's job is very minimal at this point, and I don't understand why.
And then they charge you to do their job. So musicians are just getting it every single which way.
It is frustrating too because every venue does it slightly differently, because I'm all about, let me know what the rules are and I'll figure out how to artfully break them or follow them as needed. But certain venues, they want you to come with a fully booked bill. Others don't. Others want you to book the bill. It's just when it's not clear, that can be so infuriating. When
they
you
don't
get-
answer
Yeah.
back. Or you'll have like this string of questions and they answer back with like a thumbs up emoji.
Right.
Like, are you going to answer the questions or what?
It's challenging to say the least.
Yeah.
So do you feel that puts a bit of a cap on your creativity or maybe your enjoyment of, I guess, going out there and trying to hustle,
sucks,
for lack of a
but
It
better
takes
term.
time away.
It takes
Yeah.
time, yeah.
It's just about time. Like, how much time do I want to spend? Do you want to spend in writing to these people and trying to find other people? Like, how much of time is the most valuable thing we have? It takes time, and we're not getting paid to be booking agents.
Right.
In fact, we're getting charged.
We're getting charged
To
to,
be
be booking
booking
agents.
Mm.
So I think the only frustrating part really is the lack of the time that you have to give over to them. Basically, it's not what I want to do with my time.
I gotcha. And speaking of time, we are almost 2 hours.
That went
into
fast.
this.
Yeah.
Lies.
I can do a little
So-
more like the thing I have to go to is open-ended. Like,
I gotcha.
Did you have anything to say about this beer that is almost finished?
yeah.
I did, but I've
It
actually.
smells like apple juice at first.
It has kind of an apple.
but then I
I
taste the apple.
I taste a little bit
Okay,
of
I'm
apple.
gonna try
in
it.
Yeah.
Can I smell it?
Well, it definitely.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of
had-
apple juicy, like a full-bodied apple juice.
Yes, it does. It has a very.
Maybe that's how it's gluten-free. My eyes are so bad I can't read the ingredients.
It does have a
What's it say, Emily?
a natural apple juice
does.
smell, and then when I tasted the beer, it did have a natural, fully ripened. I'm not gonna say green apple, but it did put me in the
Yeah.
mind of a green apple.
Me too.
It
It's
wasn't
a
just-
heavier beer
Granny
than the chicken
Smith?
scratch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it, but at the same time, it still tasted like a beer.
Yeah,
And
yeah. At first, when I smelled it, I was like, "Oh, this smells like a cider." And I did notice when I
Yeah.
poured it, like it poured more like a cider.
And it,
Which I've had a lot more cider since finding out like
Yes.
I can't tolerate gluten. But it does have a little bit of a beer feel too.
But
It is a kind of a combo.
Yeah.
But for someone who is not a fan of the hops in a beer, which a lot of people aren't,
I am not.
this
I
would
like
be a good beer for someone who doesn't like that real hoppy, grassy flavor, but still wants to, taste a beer, but doesn't want something that's just super sweet and
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
kind
not
of
sweet.
fake. Because that beer had good
It's not cloying.
natural flavor to it, and it still had the characteristics of a beer, but it wasn't as sweet as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is not apple juice in this.
There isn't.
It's water. Is it millet? In my head, I read it as millet, but I know it's not. Millet. Gluten-free oats, maize,
Oh,
cane sugar, hops, and yeast.
so it has oats and corn.
Interesting.
Maize, yeah.
So
Weird.
I was happy with that beer. I could definitely
Yeah. I could
do
drink
it again.
I would definitely do that again. And
Do both of these.
Yeah.
I'm not one to drink a gluten-free beer. I'm not gonna lie. It's just
I won't lie. I only drink gluten-free beer because I can't tolerate gluten.
well, when it first really started getting popular, I thought, well, let me try it. You never know, I might find something I really enjoy. And I tried a couple of them, and I'm kind of like, wow, this
Yeah.
is
Some can be-
someone liquefied some candy
Yeah.
and put a little alcohol with it, and put it in this
Yeah.
can.
Yeah,
and
they can be
called
hit
it-
or miss at times.
Called it gluten-free. Well, maybe it's gluten-free, but
Yeah.
it's also not a beer. So
Yeah.
I'm going to pass. And I shouldn't say this, but it spoiled me to
Yeah.
gluten-free beers. And since then, and that's been a while, the market has exploded.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just like everything else, if enough people get interested,
Yeah.
somebody's going to find the right recipe.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I think like enough people are starting to understand that like a lot of people have gluten intolerances.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have celiac disease to have a bad reaction to it. So I think the more that happens, then the more like, because the market's going to be calling for it, the more people are going to experiment with it. Without
We'll
Yeah.
get better and better.
better and better. Yeah.
Well, as far as the two beers on the table, which one would you call your? I'm not going to say your favorite, but your favorite of the two.
I like them both. I give a stamp of approval for both. I think chicken scratch has just always been one of my favorites since I had it years ago.
Yeah.
So I'll go with
I
that,
like
the
them
old
both.
familiar. Yeah, yeah,
Chicken scratch. I do like a lighter beer.
yeah.
I've always liked a lighter beer. So I think that one, but like I will definitely remember this one. And like I would like to have both of them in my refrigerator.
Yeah.
I got you. I got you.
Mix it up a bit.
Yeah.
Ooh, now I got to answer. Well, you know what? Chicken Scratch is a good beer,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of digging this blonde.
It's
was not what I expected.
it's a unique one.
Yeah.
I really like it.
I do like the uniqueness of the beer. I like the fruit component of the beer, but it's not too much. And that's what because I'm not a big fan of real fruity beer.
Yeah.
Even if it's natural,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it just, to me, it seems like if you're going to over fruit a beer, what do you hide?
Yes.
Just make it a cider.
Right.
Yeah, well, you know what? If you're going to over fruit a beer, you're right. Just
Yeah.
make a cider
Yeah.
and, you know.
Yeah.
I think
but-
that's why I like Jackalope Lovebird so much too, because it's subtle enough. It's light and subtle fruit, but it's not. It doesn't hit you in the face with a bunch of strawberries.
Well, it gives you, it's what it says on the side of the can. It gives that to you, but it doesn't overpower you
Yes.
in any one flavor.
Yeah.
It just kind of blends everything and it just kind of fades away. Just real nice, and it just kind of leaves you wanting more.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's what a beer should do. It should leave you wanting more. It shouldn't be something that just kind of smacks you in the face, and you gotta put the glass down and say, I need to step back from this for a minute, because this whatever flavor, whatever style of beer, it's just wow, that the chocolate in this beer or the coffee in this beer or the fruit in this beer, it's just like, wow, I need to let my palate just kind of calm down from that before I come back. No, to me, unless it's some sort of beer that is, an apple cream pie. Of course, I'm not going to jump into that, but I mean, if somebody says, "Man, you need to try this," I'll try it.
Yeah.
But it's like, yep, it's it's an apple cream pie, but yeah, it's not a beer.
Yeah.
But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So,
You're
but
so noisy, Mel. So noisy.
well, it's all right. I mean,
Fidgeting. I'm
Messing with the mic.
It's that CBD lemon.
Yeah.
imagine if I hadn't drank it.
all right. Well, so what would y'all like to promote about yourselves, about the band, about anything that is upcoming?
We have something really dear to our hearts upcoming. You guys want to?
Doll parts?
Yeah.
Doll parts. We want to promote doll parts.
Yeah.
Okay, and what is that?
It is a monthly showcase, and we feature female identifying artists.
Mm-hmm.
And it's rotating between 3 venues right now, maybe 4 soon.
Mm-hmm. The next one is Oh my God, what month
At
was it?
Vinyl
May,
Tap.
June what?
June 4th.
4th. Yeah, at Vinyl Tap.
First Tuesdays of each
First
month
Tuesdays
now.
of each month.
Yeah.
If you follow Miss Lonely Band on Instagram, then you'll see when the next one is and who's going to be featured. We always do, we start out the night with 3 songs, and then there'll be 2 different bands with 30-minute sets.
Yeah.
And then we do 3 more songs at the end of the night, and then sometimes we get a DJ. And this time we will have a DJ.
Yes.
So it'll be a little dance party at the end.
Okay. And how did that come about?
That's one of Miss Lonely's brainchildren.
I just thought it would be cool for us to be more involved with the music community and try to build more of a family-like environment and include all the amazing women that we've seen perform all over the city.
Okay.
Especially in Nashville with country music and everything. There was a few years ago, right before Tomato Fest, in East Nashville.
Yeah.
There was some. Do you remember who it was, Emily?
No, it
There
was
was
some
some music
industry
executive
yeah.
who referred to women in the country industry as they're the tomatoes of the salad. The men are the lettuce, they're the main thing, and the women should just be here and there. And that sentiment still runs really deep in.
So what you're saying is we host a tomato salad once
We
a
host
month.
a tomato salad once a month.
Oh,
Yeah.
can it be a
Only
caprese salad?
tomatoes.
Oh,
A
yes.
caprese salad. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Now men,
Yeah, because some men play with the women and
Men
they
are
are
allowed.
they are the cheese.
it's not like no, you can't. It's not an anti. Want to make sure it is
They
not
are
an
the cheese.
anti-men.
No,
kind of
it's
thing.
not.
It's
It's
not.
not.
It's not.
Anybody,
It's just
non-binary artists, anybody can play. But
anybody who's been marginalized.
Yes.
And men can be in the band. That's
I-
absolutely.
I felt
Acceptable.
awful in was it March, I think?
Yeah,
Taxiway
all the
played,
women got sick.
So I'm the other band I play in Taxiway. It's me, my husband, and our friends Joe and Emily, 2 Emilys in the band. So it's 2 married couples, and we were on the bill to play doll parts. Well, the day of the show, both Emilys in the band got sick and had to miss it. So
So
Mike
it's just
and Joe
dudes.
just. I think I saw a video later where Mike said, "I'm sorry, we're not. we're just
normally
here."
have 2 women.
We also raise donations for
Yeah.
different nonprofits.
Right now, it's the Amy Winehouse Foundation, and I can't announce yet, but we do have a local nonprofit that we will be partnering with soon that benefits women directly in Nashville,
Okay. All right.
and hopefully that'll also get the word out to a much bigger audience to come and support, so we can raise more money each time.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we're running up on the end of this. So where can people find out more about you guys as far as a band or individually, or just pretty much anything you're doing, either with music or aside of music, or just, anything you're doing, just promote yourself. I mean,
I think we're most active on Instagram.
Yeah.
Miss Lonely Band on Instagram. It is you're gonna see a really curated page. It's very thoughtfully articulated there.
Yes.
Any upcoming news. We also have a website, which we're getting better at.
MissLonelyBand.com.
MissLonelyBand.com.
On Spotify and Apple Music, we're Miss Lonely, and Bandcamp.
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to support us most directly, or any band, if you want to have your money go, the most of your money go directly to the band, always go to Bandcamp.
Yeah. And we just got new merch too, which we were going to get it listed on there. We've got a couple
Yep.
things, but
yeah,
we
on
need
the
to list
website,
t-shirts
so
and
then it'll be a
things.
link to the Bandcamp,
Yeah.
and then and right now we have once we have that up, a few special people will also receive a free gift along
Yes.
with a T-shirt if they decide to buy it, and then individually, Emily, your Instagram.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very secretive. It's under wraps. But follow me on Miss Only Band or Taxiway Songs.
All right. Well, ladies, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to y'all and
You do
learning
too.
more about Miss Lonely the band and about each of you individually and your thoughts on music and art and on beer. So,
And CBD water.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris.
and I did enjoy that CBD water. That's I'm gonna call that lemonade because
Yeah.
that to me was lemonade. So I am definitely
We'll have to see if you can like calm down tonight from like the soothingness of it. Maybe you'll be able to fall asleep.
Maybe you'll have a CBD show.
I could possibly do that. I could work that in somewhere. So for everyone out there, this has been another episode of Two Beers with the Band, and thanks for listening to the Two Beers with the Band podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you would like to donate to the show, the link is in the description. 80% of this month's donation will go to the music charity listed on the 2BWB website, and 20% will go to the upkeep of the show, new equipment, payroll, and rent of the recording locations. Learn more about today's show at 2BWB on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and anywhere you enjoy the show.